Hey, what's up? Logan Zanelli here. Alright, so today is day one in this blog branding project, and I want to start by giving you some background on what the project is. As I mentioned in my first video, I've been thinking about starting up a very specific niche blog for a little while now. And what that entails is, if you've spent any time on my site and you've read the information about me on the About page and a couple of the posts I've written, you know that my day job is that I own my own company as a branding and communications firm. And I've noticed that some of my very best clients over the years have been companies who were brand new startups or new ventures from existing companies launching a new product line or a new division, so on and so forth. So, and you'll notice that none of this is scripted, by the way. So basically what I've done is I did some thinking about that and also started looking into startups just in general and researching some of the information about startups. And I noticed one of the things that people routinely have questions about when it comes to a new startup or a new venture is advertising and marketing. Now, obviously that's something that I can help with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start an actual blog about advertising and marketing help for startups and new ventures. That's what the specific niche is, okay? So that's kind of where that came from. Now, I'm not going to really get into a lot of the internal questions that I asked myself because I've already explained a lot of those in a copy blogger post, which I'll post a link to down below here, that I wrote not that long ago, called 125 Tips for Building an Irresistible Brand. It is important to take stock of yourself, and I've done that with looking at the history of my own business and, you know, areas that I've done really well in, things that I enjoy doing, that kind of a thing. I'm not going to walk through those questions step by step because they're laid out and it's pretty self-explanatory in that post. So go ahead and take a look at that post for more on that. What I am going to do is I want to get right into the steps to get this going. So let's go ahead and start with name. What am I going to call this? When you think about startups, you think about, you know, either new entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who have been what are known as serial entrepreneurs. They've opened a lot of businesses, they start them, run them, sell them, start another one, so on and so forth. So it's really important that whatever I create appeal to this audience. One of the important things for me personally, whenever I'm looking at creating a name for something, is that it resonate with the audience I'm trying to attract. And there's different ways that you can do that. One of the important things to me with this particular project is that I wanted startup in the name somewhere. I wanted the name of it to include startup somehow. So that's part of the name. We're going to call it startup something, or something startup, okay? As I think a little bit further into this, and you think about how a startup gets going and the bootstrapping that's involved sometimes, and the crucible, literally, that you have to go through to find venture capitalists or angel investors, or some of those types of things to get a new business off the ground. A lot of times that can feel like a grueling ordeal, or a like I said, a crucible that you have to go through. Along with that, with any new venture, you also have a boatload of work you have to do. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff that has to fall into place, a ton of stuff that has to be prepared, and it's a lot of work. Now, when I'm putting together the site, like I said, I want it to resonate with the audience, but I also want the purpose of the site to come through in the name. So what I've been thinking about with this is a boot camp type of feel with it. Now, the reason that I'm taking that approach with it is twofold. First of all, like I said, with anything startup or new venture, there's a ton of work, It's, you know, results oriented. You got to get things done one after another. You have to get things to fall in place. You got to find those investors. You got to get the, you know, prototypes built. You got to get the marketing in place, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of action steps that have to occur, and using the term boot camp helps imply that action-oriented approach. It's going to be something that's going to give them usable training, something that's going to teach them how to take action in specific situations. So, because obviously that's what a boot camp is all about. Along with that, boot camp, the term boot camp automatically implies training of some sort. There's some sort of a training or educational process that's going to happen, because obviously in a boot camp they're training you for whatever that boot camp is for, whether it's military or, you know, fitness or, you know, whatever it's going to be. There's a certain amount of training that's inherent in that term. So that's another reason I chose the term boot camp. The third reason has to do with bringing my own personality into this brand. Okay, if you've been reading my stuff for any length of time, you know that I come from a military family, meaning that a lot of my relatives have served in the military. And my little brother's a Marine right now. Hi, Dave. So that's something that's a part of me. Along with that, I myself wanted to serve, but was unable to because of, you know, these guys right here. And you can read about that. 32 things you didn't know about Logan. Go find the post. You'll laugh. So anyway, I have there's a certain amount of connection I feel with that kind of stuff, let's say. Along with that, I'm also quite a history buff. Not an expert, just it's an interest of mine, especially right around, you know, 1940s type stuff. You know, the World Wars, the founding of America, all that kind of stuff is very interesting to me. So I'm going to incorporate some of that stuff, and that's another reason why I picked the term boot camp. So far we've got startup and we've got boot camp. Okay, now let's take that a step farther. I need a domain name. This is going to be a blog. It's got to have a good, you know, website and a domain name that conveys what it is. So if you look at some of the different blogs that are out there that are fairly popular, ProBlogger, Copyblogger, IttyBiz, you know, Entrepreneur's Journey, there's an inherent quality in the name and in the domain name that conveys what it is and who it's for. So I need kind of the same thing. So far I'm kind of in this startup boot camp kind of area right now. We'll call it a loose naming area. So the next step is I went online, checked to see what domains are available. Startupbootcamp.com is taken. Now, a lot of people will tell you it doesn't really matter what domain you get. You can get a .com, a .net, a .org, a .info, a .biz, a .us, blah, blah, blah. And to a certain extent that is true. Any one of those will work. You will be able to put a website on them. However, people have, when you're talking about an internet website, people have a default setting, if you will. When you start to tell somebody a website address, www, my company, they're expecting you to say .com. It's like, it's burned into their brains, .com. Everything on the internet is .com. So for me, when I'm putting together a brand, it's important for me to find a name that the .com is available, okay? There's people out there that would argue with that, and that's fine. But for me, I found it to be most effective and easiest for people to remember if there's a .com in the name, okay? So my next task was to see what names were available that had a .com. Obviously, startupbootcamp.com is taken, so that rules that out. So I started doing some searching, and I found that Startup Brigade, which sounds very similar, startupbrigade.com was available. Now that sparked some interesting options because it still has that boot campy military kind of feel to it. But also Brigade is a company, it's a group. and it hints at a group of people or a community of some sort. Okay, there's a group or an army of people, and if you think about it, startups are kind of their own group. They're their own unique group. So what I did is I settled on startupbrigade.com, and I went ahead and I've registered that. And whenever I register a name for a brand I'm going to launch, and this is something to think about with your own brand, whenever I'm getting ready to launch something, I won't just register just the name I need. This goes into protecting your brand name in a way and solidifying it, okay, to limit competition. What I do is I snag every available extension of that domain that I think people will find easy to use. Okay, so I didn't just register .com, I got .org, .net, .info, .us, .biz, all of them. You don't have to do that. I recommend it simply because it makes it harder for people to copy your idea, and it helps solidify your brand and protect it. It's kind of like the, information, protecting, I forget, it's been a long day. Can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but anyway, intellectual property. There you go. That's what it was. So anyway, I recommend you register them all. Okay, so that's what I did. I've registered those names. Now, the next step is for me to go in and start doing some research as to the audience, their specific questions, their specific tastes, some demographical stuff, and that sort of thing, and I'm going to talk about that in the next video. So for now, I'm going to leave you with this. The project is startupbrigade.com. That's going to be the blog, and that's what I'm going to be referring to this project as from now on, Startup Brigade. Okay? If you have any questions about anything that I've talked about today, please feel free to pop them in the comments section there. I'll be happy to answer some of them in the next video. In the meantime, feel free to share the link with this series with anybody that you can on Twitter or Facebook, or even just emailing it to people. Let's try to help as many people as we can with this series. And I will probably be posting the next video probably on Monday. If not, then within a few days for sure. So this is Logan Zanelli from loganzanelli.com. This is the blog branding project, Startup Brigade, and I look forward to talking with you next time.